So earlier, when object-oriented programming was not invented or not into picture, people used to write code in the form of line numbers 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So any specific instruction to execute used to be numbered using line number. This code used to go to, tens of thousands of lines. It can be endlessly going and going on in lines and lines, and sometimes you have to flow your code back also. So between any line, maybe 9 9 9 9 9 dot dot, you need to send the flow back to line number 2, and then from line number 3 you need to send the code back to some other line. So this approach becomes a nightmare to manage. So this is not the only motivation, but one of the motivation is, let's break this whole huge code into small parts. And how will you break it? So this way object oriented concept was implemented, and let's break this code into classes. So how do you decide which code goes into which class? How many classes do you create? For this, object oriented principles help us decide. We will learn them more in the next chapter, but for now you can simply understand that we structure our code into classes. So we will create maybe my class as our first class, and then we will continue to learn about Java. So going back to the screen, what we will do here is we will create our class. So we will call our class my class. Okay, so this class has been created. So by default, the first line in the class is your package name. Your class belongs to which package. So you can understand package as arranging thousands of classes. So for that we create packages. So we categorize classes according to different packages. Okay, so this is the syntax how you create a class. Now we will learn about everything. Why do we say public? So this comes under access modifiers. We'll talk about it, but for now you can say that this is the way of creating class. So what do you write? You write public, and then class is a keyword in Java. So we'll learn what are keywords as well, and then it is, we say my class. So basically keywords are some predefined words which Java uses. So you can use those keywords to implement your logic. So these are some predefined words. So public is a keyword. It is used to define access. There can be different access: public, private, protected, and default. We'll talk about that in more detail. But for now, public signifies that this class is visible to everyone. Okay. So now the basic thing that we do here is we create, we'll say public again, static void main, string arguments. So this public static void main string arguments is a method in this class my class, and it is the entry point for you in the Java world. Okay, so whenever someone learns Java, first of all he learns about this public static void main method. Okay, so public again is a method which is, this method is accessible to the outside world. What other options are there? We learn more. What is static? Static says this method is there at the class level and not at the object level of this class. We'll learn what is the object, but for now you can understand it as something which does not change for different objects of that class. It is tied to the class level. Okay. Void is the return type. Suppose your method returns numbers, or it returns strings, or it returns decimal. Whatever it returns, you have to specify the return type here. Since our method is not returning anything, so we have mentioned it at void. And main is again a predefined method name, which if we use, it signifies that it is the entry point of this application. So as of now, I will just print a hello world method from this main method to show you how to get started, how to enter into the Java world, how to run your code. Okay, so what I will type is system. So when we, and then we can see this green button which IntelliJ automatically identifies this public static void main as the default entry point for your application. And then if you run it, so it gives you an option to run. Once you click this green button, it will ask run it, and if you click run, you will see that your message hello world has been printed on the screen. So this is the convention here. This is how you launch your Java application through the public static void main method. Okay. If you want to debug this program, what you can do is you can put a debug point here, and then instead of run, you can click debug. Okay. So what will happen is flow will reach this line and it will wait for you to continue. So you can use this green button to execute uninterrupted ahead of this line, or what you can do is if you use this step over button, you can move line by line. So you can see that this line has executed, line number 6, hello world has been printed, but the program is still not stopped because we are at line number 7, we have not exited the program. Now if we click it one more time, now we have exited the program. We can see that disconnected option is showing, and now we have disconnected from this program and this program is terminated. Okay, so this is the basic convention of getting started with Java, where you create a hello world application. Now we'll learn some more theory which will enable us or empower us to create more structured applications. A little bit about packages. As I told, it should be in the reverse name of your website. If you don't have a website, you can say my application as well, any suitable name. The general rule here is you should not write any capital letters, and generally no special characters as well. But when you do this my application dot model or dot service or dot repository, so these are your sub packages. What do we use packages for arranging our code. Okay, so that classes with similar functionality live in a common package. That is how you organize your code. Okay, so the code that we wrote was public class my class, and then we again had public static void main string arguments, and inside this we had system dot out println, and then the famous message hello world. Okay, public is an access modifier. Okay, the other options are, so the first one is public, then we have private, then we have protected, and then we have default. Okay, so we can see that public is used here as well, and public is used at the method level as well. Okay, so access modifiers have different meaning when they are used at different levels. For example, when at class level, if you created my class.java file and in that you are writing this code, in that case you cannot write private here. Okay, you can write public, you can write protected, you can write default. Private it is not allowed because the file name should match with the main class present in that file. You can create another class in this method that you can call as private. So you can do private class new class. So this class can also live in this main class.java, but because it is private, it will not create a problem. But the only public class in that Java file, its name should match with the name of the .java file. So this is a very important point to remember here. So if it is public, it can be accessed through any package. If you created protected, in that case whatever is there in this class can be accessed in the classes of the same package, and plus some other classes which extend this class. So we will understand what is extend later when we learn about OOPS concepts. So there is inheritance, and then we will understand. But for now you can understand it as, if you create public, it can be accessed anywhere. So if you create a class private, whatever you define in that class can be used in that class only. If you create a class as protected, in that case package level visibility is there, so it can be accessed within the package. Its members, whatever you define that class, can be accessed within that package. So if we create default access, which means we don't specify any access, in that case the access is package level. Okay, so whatever is there in that class can be accessed anywhere within the same package. And if we create protected, in that case there is some additional visibility, which is package level plus the subclasses of this class. So we'll learn what do we mean by subclasses when we learn inheritance. But the subclasses of this class can also access whatever is present inside this class. So this is access modifiers. So these can be applied at class level as well, and they can be applied at method level as well. So when you create a method as public, it can be accessed anywhere. If you create it as private, it cannot be accessed anywhere. If you create it as protected, it can be accessed in the same package and subclasses. And if you don't give any access, if you don't write anything here, then it will be considered as default access, which will be package level access. So this is how you control access and visibility at class level and method level for your Java classes. So in your class, you can have as many methods as you want. For example, you have public class, my class. We already saw public, static, void, main, string arguments. So this is the argument which it takes. Now you can have another method. You can have a private int method 1. It takes, suppose it takes 2 int as input, int I, int j. You can have another method which can be protected. Suppose it returns a double, method 2. Suppose it takes a string as input, string s. So it should, by default, it should return you a double as well. And if you don't write anything and your method also doesn't return anything, it can be void, method 3. And suppose it takes a float as input, so this method will not return anything. So these are, since we didn't define any visibility here, so it will be considered as default. So this is, you can have as many methods in your class. So why don't we put all the methods in one class and only create one class for our complete enterprise level application? No, this is not the way our code is arranged. If we do this, we will be very close to the linear structure of writing sequential programs that was present earlier. So how do we decide which method should be present in which class? If I have 10 class and 50 methods, how do I decide which method should go in which class? So for this, we will learn OOPS, object oriented programming system, OOPS concept, in the next chapter, which will help us decide, which will give us some basic rules to decide. Okay, but for now, this is how we structure our classes, we write our classes.